So in case you've forgotten, next week we'll see the second coming of the 100 tournament. So we wanted to bring you a player's insight to all this. So we've drafted in Northern Superchargers and fellow Boltonian, Callum Parkinson. Cal, welcome to the Two Top Men.
Great to be here, lads. Thanks for having me.
There's been a lot said about Sam Northeast's 410 not out. Everyone's been asking him about how he feels or how that means for him. No one's asked the people that were fielding. So can you give us a fielder's insight?
It's not something I really want to bring up, to be honest. And you've hit me where it hurts first up here. But it was a tough week. He just kept going, mate. In fairness to him, we dropped him on 95, and then after that, mate, it was 300 chanceless runs. So yeah, a few sleepless nights since. I think my figures ended up they're like 490. So it's something I want to put to the back of my mind.
Anyway, you've got something to take your mind off it, haven't you? Because obviously the 100 starts next week. And how did you find this tournament last year? And I guess it must be exciting coming into it now for a year that's not going to be dominated by COVID and the shackles are off.
Yeah, really excited. It was a really good experience last year to be surrounded by that calibre of player. You know, obviously COVID restrictions meant it was probably a hampered experience, but to be in that kind of bubble with world-class players, world-class coaches, it was a really good experience, and the cricket was really good. I only got to play 2 of the 8 games, which is something that I'm looking to build on this year. You know, play a bit more of a predominant part, I guess. But just to be involved, mate, it's a massive honour and something I'm excited for.
One thing you talk about there is kind of the squad and the players. One thing that I just had a look through the squad before we came on, and there's a lot of good spinners both last year and this year in the Superchargers squad. How does that help you as kind of a young spinner coming through to be playing with Rashid and others?
Yeah, it's obviously great to pick their brains. Last year we had Rashid and obviously Majib as well, which it was a positive and a negative, I guess. Positive that he's surrounded again by 2 world-class performers, you know, all their variation and experience, but I guess the negative was that them 2 are like your first names on the sheet, so game time was limited. So I think this year it's a bit more exciting from a selfish point of view. You know, we've not got Majib back, we've just got Rash, and it's obviously another left-arm spinner, Van der Merwe, who obviously a fine bowler in his own right. So great on one hand, you know, to pick the brains of obviously 2 world-class performers last year, but you know, I'm hopeful I get a bit more of a game time, and you know, that will only further my development, I guess.
And in terms of kind of 100, it's obviously got these funky rules like 10 ball overs and stuff like that. Do you think that caters to having a couple more spinners in the side just to kind of take advantage of that kind of ruling?
Good question. Tough question, actually. I've no clue, to be honest with you. You'd probably have to ask the coaches and the captains, but I think as we've seen in T20 cricket around the world, spin plays such a predominant part, and the way we viewed the 100 last year was just a slightly shortened T20, I guess. So I don't see any reason why spin's not a crucial part again. I think from a bowler's point of view, what I felt last year was if you didn't take wickets early on, the kind of the 20 balls less meant they came even harder. There was no kind of what I'd call a rebuild stage in the middle overs, which you sometimes get in T20. It was just go, go, go if you didn't take wickets in the power play. So from that sense, I guess spin's crucial, but it's so many factors, mate. Like there's matchups, you know, there's big data driven now in cricket is massive. All the matchups, all the 1%ers that give you an advantage in ground dimensions, and there's a lot to it. But your question stands. There's definitely a place for more spin.
See, that's the stuff I love, isn't it? That's
ground dimensions.
Yeah, stats, all that stuff.
It's giving me a headache thinking of that. You obviously yourself, Cal, taken on new responsibility this year with captaincy, but you told us early in the lobby that Faf's going to lead out the Northern Superchargers. Faf du Plessis, of course. What value does that give to you as a player, I guess, to the changing rooms, having someone of that calibre who's obviously led at international level?
Yeah, he demands respect. He was around last year, which I guess is good for lads that have been carried over. We know what Faf's like. We know his character. You know, his records proven. He's a world-class performer still. And for me, obviously, in a selfish point of view, you know, I'm a captain in Leicester. It'll be great to pick his brains, and in the downtime that we have, you know, potentially see what his leadership styles and kind of the stuff he valued during his career, and There's obviously a lot of lads with captaincy experience in the Superchargers. You know, you've got Wahab Riaz, Dwayne Bravo's done quite a bit in his time, David Willey, Adam Lyde. So there's a lot of experience in the team, and it's only something that can benefit me going back to Leicester.
Definitely. And in terms of I can't switch Sky on at the moment without hearing about the international schedule and how packed it is. It's obviously, we've been talking about you're coming off the first class game recently against Glamorgan and then going straight into the 100. What trickle-down effect has that had on the county player? Is the schedule just as intense? How are you finding it this year?
Yeah, this year's certainly been a different beast. It's just been relentless. I know there's talks next year to change the schedule, potentially limit 4-day cricket, but it's tricky. I think the lads, we call it like a roller coaster. You can't get off. You go from, I think it's 7 4-days in 7 weeks at the start, straight into the blast, which is, relentless, a game every 3 days, and then Champo during the middle of that, Champo just now, and then obviously the lads at Leicester are starting the Royal London on, I think it's Monday. So it's certainly, I think, from a player's point of view, something that needs looking at, just in terms of rest. And obviously fans want to see the best cricket possible, and unless you're a white ball only cricketer, your training period up to these tournaments is limited. I've only just picked up a white ball for the first time since the end of the T20s today, so it's tricky, but it's something that we enjoy, and it's something you've got to get better at as your career goes on, becoming multi-format and also adaptable in your training.
And with that, you talk about the fast transition from your county side to your 100 side. Have you had much chance to meet the group, to discuss? You mentioned, obviously, you had a chance to Faf was around last year, but have you discussed things as a team? Have you had much chance to meet and familiarise yourself?
No, not at all. It's we're lucky we've got a 5 or 6 day period. I think we meet up on Sunday, and our first game's not until Friday at Old Trafford. So there'll be a busy 5 days. Lucky that we've carried over quite a few of the lads. But obviously, all the coaching staff's changed. Like you said, Faf was around last year but didn't actually play. So obviously a new captain. So it'll be an interesting period before the tournament. Talking tactics, but again, like we said, there's a lot of experience in the group, and lads have played a lot of cricket this year already, so bodies are ready to go. I guess it's just probably more getting a grip on the rules and kind of who's going to do what and when.
And how much is that a kind of a key skill now of the modern players to adapt, and kind of, you talk about going from the white ball side, not picking up a white ball for a few weeks now, and then also playing with new players. Is this kind of what a modern cricketer has to adapt to? Is that a key component of the modern cricketer?
Yeah, spot on. I think it just comes back to having good basics ultimately that can carry you through a season and through multi-format. If you're a 3-format cricketer or aspire to be, you need fundamentals in your game, and you need basics, and you need stuff that can carry you from red ball to white ball. So I'm lucky that my bowling is fairly simple. There's not tons to it. I'm not like a leg spinner that's got 5 or 6 deliveries. I might have a couple of change-ups, but I guess I'm lucky that my bowling can cross over formats and there's no need to change tons. But yeah, it's definitely something. I think what you notice though now, like with young lads now, they're coming in, some of these youngsters playing T20, it's like a duck to water. It's obviously, they're just bred on it, and I think even me, I'm almost 26. That definitely wasn't the case when I was growing up. T20 was alien. It just kind of came in under 15s cricket. So, but yeah, you've got to be adaptable, I guess.
Yeah, and I think obviously we're seeing more and more franchise tournaments around the world. And you mentioned that the 100 itself is going to become under a lot of broadcasting. It's going to be on terrestrial TV and Sky's there. Is it chat amongst county players that tournaments like these can almost springboard opportunities to international cricket?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one at the minute. The Vitality Blast has done such a good job to produce players for England, but I think the 100 probably is the main one now, isn't it? In England, it's the new franchise tournament. So I think from a selfish point of view, you just hope that it can be the springboard for yourself, and I think it's what carries the most weight now in terms of international recognition and also, foreign tournaments. There's plenty of opportunities if you're good at T20 cricket. Look at the Big Bash, the new Dubai tournament, the PSL, the BPL. There's so many opportunities, especially with the clashing schedules. That I think the 100 can be a springboard. You look at like Harry Brook last year; he burst onto the scene in the 100. So yeah, Chris Benjamin, people like that. It's certainly a springboard for higher honours.
And is that kind of part of modern cricket now that there almost are more opportunities for, if you're not going to get into the international side, well, the franchise leagues are there open for you. Is it a more exciting time as a county pro to kind of think all doors are open?
I think if you bowl anything other than left arm spin, it's not the most glamorous, but I think you're spot on. From a selfish point of view, my T20 record's good. It's something that you always got to aspire to. It's what keeps you working day to day. I'm off to Heaton tomorrow with my dad bowling in the nets, hoping that I can use this 100 as a springboard to, there's that many tournaments, like I said, mate. And like I said, with the schedule, there's a lot clashing. There's a lot of international cricket. There's opportunities definitely out there, and it's something I've definitely got my eye on. You just need one of them performances on telly just to kickstart. And I remember when my brother started getting all the traction, probably was from the televised Lancs games. Bowling a couple of Jaffas and the right people watching. So I think there's no better platform than the 100 with the amount of people it's going to reach.
Yeah. I think Heaton will have to put cows pasties and open the bar if Callum Parkinson's practicing there tomorrow. You've broadcasted that now to the world, so
get the red carpet out.
Absolutely, mate. So what does success look like for Callum Parkinson, I guess, in this tournament? What are you looking to get out of it personally? How would you sort of measure that?
Tough question. It's a tricky one. I think
you've obviously said you want to play more, which is
I think that's the obvious one. You want to be selected, and I think off the back of that, then I'll be able to answer your question a bit more if I knew kind of what my game time looks like. But to dodge the question, it's probably come out of it a better cricketer, and having impressed people. Obviously, you then privy to new coaches, players from opposition. There's opportunities within that to impress people, and like I said, you never know where doors lead to. These coaches go around the world, and I think of the two things I can take from it is to come back a better cricketer, ultimately to win matches for Leicester and hopefully get my foot in the door in other honours.
And we've obviously titled this TTM Preview the 100. Is there any other teams that you look at and think, as a fan, obviously we look at this from the outside perspective and, look for the giants. Who are the other squads that you think they're going to give you a run for your money this year?
I think they're all strong squads. They should be, shouldn't they? They've got such a player pool to pick from, and I remember looking at all the list of the overseas players that were in the draft. It was remarkable, and I think to the naked eye, you can't really look past Southern Brave, can you? They won it last year. They've kept together their winning squad. They've added some good overseas. Obviously, they've got Rahan Ahmed, who's at Leicester with me, who's an exciting talent. But I think tournament cricket's funny. It depends who starts well. You lose your first game, you can be on the back foot. You win your first couple, you're on a roll. So I think they're all the squads are pretty much on a par. It just depends on who plays their home conditions the best.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, obviously, Cal, we thank you very much for your time. It's one thing that cricket seems to have these days is less time. So it's been obviously great to watch you develop and Matt develop, being two Bolton lads just like us. So we wish you every success in the tournament. Hope you get plenty of game time. Hope you take plenty of wickets, score plenty of runs, and put on a good show.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for having me, lads. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, boys. Cheers.